Hey there, Tooth Fairy. Welcome to today's episode where we are going to be talking about all things essentially when it comes to working out efficiently. Like, I am a huge proponent of efficiency, and I know that hygienists are too. And I just preach, I try to preach all day, every day. Like, if you're not doing things efficiently, you're wasting your time, your money, your energy, all the things, right? And this is something that I hear a lot from hygienists. I'm working out all the time, but I'm still having pain, or I just want to be strong and healthy and free of pain, right? Of course, that's the ultimate goal, right? So today we're going to be talking about kind of my two identifiers to know if you are working out efficiently, and if you're not, these are my two tips, my two takeaways for you that you can start implementing today. So stay tuned because we're going to dive right in on how to work out efficiently for a strong, healthy body.
Hey there! Welcome to the Lift for Longevity podcast, where our goal is to build our strongest, healthiest body. We all deserve to feel our best, but since we only get one body, we have to make sure to protect it by moving safely and with purpose to prevent pain, injury, and surgery. I'm your host, Brianne, and I'm a fit pro turned business owner and also a girl mom. I'm obsessed with educating and empowering dental pros on how to take care of their body by training efficiently and building the right muscles to prolong their career. I know you're tired of spending time working out but still dealing with annoying aches and pains, getting rid of your pain temporarily only to have it come right back just a few hours later, or feeling like you never have any energy. You wish there was a long-term solution to get rid of your pain for good. Well, I'm here to give you real-life, actionable steps that you can take today to get rid of your pain, say goodbye to quick fixes, and have energy to live a life that you love. So if you're ready to get stronger, enjoy your life outside the operatory, and have longevity in your career, grab yourself a high-protein snack and let's get to it.
So I was chatting with my assistant yesterday, who, shout out to her because she practices clinically. She has 5 children, all right? 5. She helps her husband with his business. She works for me. I don't know how she does it all, but she is just freaking amazing, and I'm so blessed to have her. But her and I were talking yesterday, and she actually gave me the idea for this podcast episode. And, I have a list on my phone of episodes that I want to talk about in the future. But she's like, Brianne, why don't you talk about how you can't just do the same program over and over and over? And I'm like, perfect, right? Because I think she was guilty of that prior to working with me. She would do Beachbody, and she had all sorts of pain. But not only did she have pain, she had sciatica for 15 years before working with me, and it's gone. Like, holy shit, that is awful, right? And so the first tip that I have for you is you can't keep doing the same program or the same exercises or the same routine over and over and over and over and over, right? All that repetition, fun fact, spoiler alert, is what got you into having pain in the first place, right? Too much repetition. So, and I have clients who are guilty of this because years ago, I had a 3-month program. I didn't have anything else built out for them to continue on to, but they were feeling so good from doing my 3-month program. They're like, well, I'm just going to do this forever and ever and ever. Well, that's not how it works. Like, you can't just do the same program over and over. Well, you can, but A, you're going to plateau. B, your body, there's nothing for it to adapt to. There's no new stimuli, right? Nothing is going to change. You're just doing the same things over and over and over. And if you feel good for the first 12 months, okay, great. But guess what? You're going to revert back. That pain's going to start creeping in. And essentially, then it becomes just another Band-Aid fix that you're using. Like, oh, I feel great. I fall off for a month. Oh, my pain's creeping back up. Let me go do the same 12-week program. Like, it's the dumbest thing ever. And, a part of it is my fault. I totally admit that to all of my, my previous clients from years ago. That's not ideal, right? But I know hygienists like repetition, right? You do the same thing all day, every day, essentially within reason, right, on your patients. And that's kind of how you're built, essentially. But that's not how fitness works. Or I have a lot of folks too who tell me like, oh yeah, I went to the physical therapist and they're like, oh, here's some exercises, do 3 sets of 10. Like, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard, right? Like, nothing is going to change. Nothing's going to get worse. Nothing's going to get better. It's just going to stay the same. And you're basically just wasting your time. And I'm not trying to knock on physical therapists, but that's what I hear all the time. They prescribe these things. And it's just, there's a big gap between physical therapy and strength training, right? That gap, I'm bridging it, right? Because we need to bridge it, but we also need to like step back and build a strong, resilient body first so that we don't even ever need physical therapy, because physical therapy is definitely reactive, right? It's not proactive. But anyways, again, I'm not digging on physical therapists. I love them. I think they're amazing. We just have to train more holistically. So off my soapbox there for a second. But basically what we need to do is we need to work on like adaptation. Like if you want to research this, I'm not going to go too much into it, but it's general adaptation syndrome. So your body adapts by increasing its ability to efficiently recruit muscle fibers, right? So if you're doing whatever, like a deadlift, right? And you're doing 95 pounds. And if you go to 100 pounds or 115, right? Eventually your body's going to adapt to that, right? But we have to do it in a way that's strategic, right? Because it's not always about more weight. And I'll talk more about that later, but there's so many different things that we can do to get our body to elicit more muscle fibers, right? Well, I'll just go into it now. We can slow down the tempo. And especially, like people think it's always about more weight, but like, how are you going to do more weight when you're working with the resistance band, when you're working a teeny tiny muscle stabilizer in your upper back? Like that's not possible. So it's not always about just lifting heavier, right? And so I'm just going to bust that myth right now. So like back to my deadlift example, you can slow down the eccentric and make it like 6 seconds, right? To really challenge those muscle fibers. Or you can add a plate, right? For more range of motion, right? There's so many things we can do, but that's the point, is we have to strategically over time allow our body to adapt to the new stressor that's placed on it, right? The physical demands, the mechanical tension, whatever words you want to use. That's how building muscle works. That's how getting stronger works, right? So basically, on the flip side of that is the reason why you can't just switch up your workouts all the time, right? This is kind of my part 2 of not training efficiently. So 1, if you're doing the same thing over and over and over, okay, cool. Well, like that's a waste of time. But then 2, if you're constantly switching things up, like, oh, you get these new fun exercises or fun workouts every day of the week, right? Every day is different or every week's different. Or if you've heard people say like you have to confuse your muscles, that is the biggest crock of shit. Okay. So your muscles don't need to be confused. They need to be challenged. So basically, when you are constantly changing things up, you're just going through the motions. I don't know how else to put that to you. That's all you're doing. You're burning calories. You're doing cardio with weights. Like you're not actually strength training efficiently, right? And I see this all the time. This is what Beachbody does. This is what Orange Theory does. YouTube workouts. It's all just cardio with weights. And if you don't like that, me saying that, guess what? I actually got that from Sal DiStefano, who is like one of the goats in fitness. Like he knows his shit. He said that. And I was like, I am totally using that because it's so fucking true. And people think, oh, I lift weights. I do Beachbody. Like, no, you don't. You do cardio with weights. So that's another thing. Like we need to actually go back to what I first said initially. We need to basically have structure that progresses, right? We don't need to do 100 different million exercises or workouts all the time. Like we really need to kind of dial things back to the basics, right? Simple, less is more, right? Without it being boring and redundant. So that's going to bring me to my last step, is basically structure is going to be important, but like I have people all the time like, oh, I work my back because I know I need to strengthen it. Like that doesn't even make sense. That's like an example I gave a hygienist yesterday. That's like me just flossing my molars because I use them to chew the most. Like that's the dumbest thing. That doesn't make any sense. You can't just work your back. Guess what? If your back's weak, everything else is weak. That doesn't make sense. Or like, oh, I'm going to strengthen my glutes and core because Brianne said to do that. Cool. Well, your core is not going to become strong if we're not aligning the pelvis and the rib cage, which is why you're having pain in the first place. So I'm not trying to go like too tangenty here, but like you can't just do random exercises. Like I talk about all the time how the serratus anterior is so weak in hygienist and it's the most important muscle. But you can't just go do serratus anterior exercises. That doesn't make sense, right? The lats are tight, the pecs are tight, the upper traps are tight, the rotator cuff's weak. Like everything around it is flawed, right? It's not, you have faulty movement patterns, your shoulder joint and your shoulder blade, they're not working together, everything's misaligned. Like it just doesn't work like that. Like you can't just go do random exercises. So this is why my clients are getting results, because I'm so strategic with the way that I do things for the first 3 months. And then guess what? We progress for the following phase 2, whether it's 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever the case may be. Like there's full-blown books on programming that are like, I don't know, 500 pages long. Like it's not as simple as just, oh, I'm going to do like some squats and some glute bridges and some like place. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like, that's, again, going through motions, and that is not what I'm about. Like, I'm about getting you results, getting you out of pain, but I also want you to do things efficiently, right? If you're taking a group fitness class, or if you're just making up a routine on your own, you're not efficient. And I don't care who you are, you're not being efficient. So if you, again, don't like me saying that, then you're probably not listening anymore. But again, I always come from a place of love. I want hygienists to make sure what they're doing is efficient. Because guess what? If you're working out all the time and you have pain, I can guarantee you 1,000% what you're doing is not efficient. And I want to educate you on how to be efficient. So I hope this podcast made sense. Full disclosure, I woke up way too early and my circadian rhythm is really off today. I'm like so tired and I feel like I had to re-record a couple of things. So I apologize if none of this made sense, but I hope a lot of it did make sense and it resonated with you. And as always, if you have questions, my DMs are open. Shoot me any questions you have on how to train efficiently to build a strong, healthy body for your career and for your life. Until next week, thanks again for listening. Have a good one.
Thank you so much for listening in today. I hope you got a takeaway from this episode. And if you did, would you be so kind to share it with another dental pro you think would benefit from it? I know you love learning, and chances are that they do too. Also, I would love to connect with you on Instagram, so go ahead and head over to the Lift for Longevity podcast page or follow me at Built by Brianne. If you shoot me a message saying hello, I will personally respond because I love chatting with dental pros. Before you go though, I want to let you know that I appreciate you and what you do, and I hope to chat soon. Until next time, stay strong.